I'm Stephen Eric Bronner, and I'm a Board of Governors distinguished professor emeritus at Rutgers University, and I'm also co-director of the International Council for Diplomacy and Dialogue. And I'd like to thank all the organizers for inviting me to this event. It's an honor for me. And I was asked to talk about three events that deal with conscience. And I think I have three that certainly affected me over the years. The first was the anti-Vietnam struggle, which I look back on as a resistance against genocide. And I think it was that. Given the millions of Vietnamese who paid for this conflict with their lives. The second thing is that I think this was the first time in American history where we had millions of people seeking to make a change in America's foreign policy and calling it, and if you like, calling the experts who had gotten us into this disaster into question. The second event that perhaps I can mention is Tiananmen Square in 1989. And many of you may remember the image of a lone individual, anonymous, a man wearing a suit, carrying a briefcase, who squared off against a tank. And it seems to me that this is one of the great symbols of resistance in the civilization, because this was not done for celebrity. It was not done for sort of an outside organization. It was done simply in the name of the perpetuation of freedom and a critique of totalitarianism. And indeed, if I can put it this way, for those who still have the idea that communist China or the Soviet Union and its satellites were socialism, there was a famous statement made by one thinker that the worst form of socialism is better than the best form of capitalism. To which one of my old teachers, Ernst Bloch, said, that's ridiculous. The worst form of socialism is no socialism at all. And I think that has also been borne out. The third event was the Arab Spring. And I was lucky enough to be in Tahrir Square on its first anniversary. And it seems to me, looking at this event, that first of all, it showed the interconnection between East and the Orient and the Occident. Because if we think back to 1848, there was indeed a very similar revolution or uprising that took place all over Europe. It was called the Springtime of the Peoples in 1848. It sought a republic, and it committed itself to a parliament and liberal principles, just as the Arab Spring did. And if we can put it this way, we now find that the Middle East is not a place which has no interest and no concern with democracy. Quite the opposite. We saw people in the street taking great risks to manifest their desire for a non-dictatorial form of government and for the benefits, the civic benefits that come with it. Again, there was no reward. It was one of those things where there was an uprising that spoke to the principles that I think any decent society wants to forward. And so with that, I'm going to take my leave and wish everyone a wonderful day of conscience, and until very soon. Thank you very much.